Hi there, welcome back. So another fun way to work with your intuition, to strengthen your intuition, to strengthen the communication with the universe, your higher self, God, spirit guides, angels, whatever you perceive as being that force that guides you through life, is to ask them for signs. I love that. It's because it's really playful. And it takes a bit of the pressure, out of this whole process and this we need to do it all perfect and we have to get it all right. And if I make a mistake, something bad's going to happen. All of these things that might play into why you feel blocked to connect to your own guidance system. So whenever I like to use this technique when I have to take a decision and I'm not really sure about, I can't discern for myself what is right and what is not aligned. So I work a lot with my higher self. In my case, I ask my higher self, I say, hey, higher self, and you can do this out loud. You can do this in your mind, or you can write it out. I usually do it either out loud or in my mind. I'm like, hey, higher self. So in like one specific case, I didn't know if I was supposed to meet a certain person or if that might be a repetition of an old pattern. Like I really wanted to see this person, but there also was a lot of fear if I was just going back into an old story and repeating it. I couldn't really tune into my heart very clearly to see if that will be aligned. Or I probably knew, but I needed some more clarification around this. So in cases like this, you can ask this higher guidance. All right, and here's the playful part. You ask for signs and you are specific about the signs, okay? So in my case, I was like, and you are very specific with the question. So in this case of meeting this person, you don't just say, hey, universe or higher self, is it good for me to, or should I meet this person? Because imagine, what can the universe answer here? It's like, should you? Like, you shouldn't do anything, but it depends on what you want for the outcome or what your worries are around this. So you need to be more specific. So in my case, I couldn't just ask, should I meet this person? Should I go and see this person? It was, I specified it to the point where I was like, is it serving my highest good and my soul's plan to meet this person? If yes, show me 3 mermaids, I think it was. Show me 3 mermaids within the next 3 days. So 2 things that are important here. Ask for a sign that's not super common and also not super uncommon. I mean, I consciously chose the mermaids because I was like, I don't want to accidentally see something and think that was a sign. And I knew mermaids are a bit challenging to show to me. So I was like, if I see those 3 mermaids, I'm like, yeah, that's a clear yes. So you don't need to make it extremely hard, but make it a bit challenging, like depending on what you want, right? In the sense of, I wanted a really clear answer. If like, I wanted the yes to be as clear as possible. So I didn't just say, show me 3 trees, because let's be honest, there is, you will see three trees in 3 days. That's interesting that I used the word 3 for these 3 numbers. Anyway, a bit of a tongue twister here. So, all right, the 3 mermaids. And to me, like, you make the rules, okay? To me, it was like, I don't need to see a full-blown mermaid. For me, whatever, like for me, things like emojis count, drawings, Instagram posts, I don't know, book covers, or yeah, if like a mermaid doll in a store, these kind of things. It doesn't mean it has to be a real mermaid. And then, so do this. And then if you want more clarity, if you want to be really clear and you want to get a real clear answer, you can also say, if it's a no, show me 3 peacocks within the next 3 days. Okay. Then again, use something that you're not going to just encounter in everyday life for sure. And in this case, I also said, if it's a maybe, if it doesn't matter so much, it's not a black or white answer. It's not going to be a disaster if I meet this person, but it's also not highly important to my life. Show me, I don't know what it was, like another thing, you make the rules. You can say which symbol means what, depending on how much guidance you need. So 2 more things that are important here when you do this. Don't go looking for these signs, okay? Once you have said, asked for this, you've put it out there, don't go looking for these signs in the sense of, okay, I'm going to go open my Instagram and look for like mermaids, or I'm going to go into a bookstore and like look for book covers that have mermaids. No, let it go. And the best thing is when you forget about it. And then when you see it, you're like, oh, wow, fuck, there was a mermaid. Like, and then it comes back into your mind. That's such a clear sign. I've had moments where I completely forgot, like I'd put it out there, I would do some work, and then I'm like sitting there and I'm looking at my oracle decks that were stacked next to me on the table. And this deck, I've had it forever, right? And I look at it, I'm like, I wonder if there's a mermaid on here. And sure enough, I turn the deck and there is a mermaid at the back of it. And that's a clear sign because I didn't like go and look for the sign. I forgot about it, but then it came back into like it grabbed my attention. My subconscious already know it was there, so it just brought it to my awareness. It's like, hey, you might want to check this out. But it's very subtle. It's very subtle between you being guided and called to look at something, and then you remember what you asked, and you're like, I wonder if that's here. Or, like consciously looking at things and searching for whatever you've asked for. So that was number 1. And I want to add here, when you're being called and you remember when you're being called to look at something and you remember in this moment, there might be like my sign. That's most certainly your sign, because I've had this happen a couple of times where I've put out this request and I forgot about it. And then I was called to check the backside of a notebook as well. And the moment I took the notebook into my hands, I was like, oh yeah, maybe there is this sign that I was looking for. It's like the moment you take it, the moment you're being reminded, it's because there is something there. So don't ignore this either. Like when you get the call, you look at it, okay? You don't go searching for it. You don't go like crazily looking at everything, trying to find a sign. But when you're being guided to look at something and you remember that you put that out, then it's most likely because they want you, whoever you asked, whoever your guidance system is, want you, or your subconscious wants you to look at this. So then the second thing that I recommend here is to write it down somewhere. Because yes, when you let it go, you might forget what you asked, especially if you like have a busy life or you ask multiple things. I've had this where I saw the signs and I didn't remember what it meant. I was like, was the mermaid yes or was it no? And that's just a pity. And it also helps when you write it down, it helps to really let it go, because you don't have to keep it in your mind all the time. You're safe. You know that I can let it go, and even if I forget, I can look it up somewhere. And what I usually do is I send myself an email. I send myself an email with the subject line about what I asked. And then I even write, dear universe, dear higher self, just the question that I asked and the following signs that I've defined. And then I can remember, even if I forgot, or just make sure that I'm not mixing it up. I'm not, assigning a meaning to some of the symbols that I initially thought had a different. We do these things. When we really want an outcome, we might tend to forget about the initial question or the initial allocation, like the initial, I then might suddenly say, oh yeah, the mermaid was a no because I'm just too afraid, whatever. Like, you know what I mean? Just so you don't sabotage yourself. And the third and last point I want to share here is, when you start with this, please specify that you want the answers that are in your highest good and delivered to you in unconditional love and light. Because when we put requests out there, they might get picked up by forces that aren't from the light, and they might mislead you. I don't want to spread fear, but I want to bring awareness to the fact that you need to specify that you want highest and best guidance for you from the highest divine unconditional love and light source, something like that. And I personally don't always specify it anymore, but because I've made it clear multiple times over the last years that I'm only answering to the light and I only want guidance from the highest light and love. But when I feel like I have to do it, when I feel particularly low or something, I do still specify it. So you need to find your own take here. And if you're a bit more experienced, you're aware of this. And if you're not, just, make sure that you're always just making it clear that you want answers from the light, from unconditional love, the highest divine guidance for your highest good. Okay, I am so curious to see how this goes for you. Leave some comments if you want. If you have questions, you can also leave comments, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye.